Watch this video and then I'll be back.
By 2030, 45% of working women ages 25 to 45 will be non-married, no kids, single.
So what's wrong with that?
So you might say, well, what's wrong with that? If you think that you're going to genuinely be fulfilled in life because you made money, best of luck to you.
Okay, so he had one perspective. I'm going to give you another. And this one's coming from an actual woman who was single and child-free and fulfilled. When I was a little child in the 70s, my grandmother and her two sisters, all very well-educated women, especially for that time period, looked at me and said, never depend on a man. And I was like, I'm 5. But what they were trying to instill in me was that my independence was important. They knew that a good education, especially at that time, led to financial freedom. And when you have financial freedom, you make better decisions for your life. I was married for 22 years. We never shared a bank account and we never had joint credit cards. When I got my amicable divorce, my lawyer said it was one of the easiest that he had ever done. And I wasn't planning on getting divorced, but having financial independence definitely made it easier. And it helped me with the decision that it was time to leave. I never felt trapped. I knew that I had my own money, and I knew that I had 4 college degrees. Whoever comes into my life at this point is here because I want them here, not because I need them here. I have a fantastic and supportive boyfriend, and he's in my life because I want him in my life. He doesn't pay any of my bills. We don't live together, and I have no intentions of getting married. I have a fantastic and supportive family. I have a huge group of female friends. I have a job that I love. I have hobbies I adore. I feel valued, connected, and fulfilled. I don't have a husband, and I don't have children. If you want a husband and you want children, great, please do it. That will be fulfilling for you. I just don't want you to listen to some guy with a podcast saying that you will be a miserable old crone if you don't do these things. Only you know what's right for you, and that's what you have to follow. There are some of us here in our 50s and older who led the way for this, and we're telling you, it's a damn good life. This is a picture I have of my grandmother and her 2 sisters when I was 17.
Having kids made you feel like a real woman? That's a pretty extreme way to affirm your gender.
So I'm a content creator, and a few weeks ago my video on being child-free and single went viral, mostly because it was me on a plane in business class toasting with my friend and just enjoying just life and the fact that I have no responsibilities. Anyway, recently it's been posted onto different Instagram pages, and I found that a lot of the comments have been basically aimed towards saying things like I'm bragging, that if I'm so happy being child-free in this season, then why do I feel the need to post about it? And number 3, a lot of people are just saying that I'll be childless, lonely, and die alone. Now, I wanted to talk about, number 1, this whole bragging thing. Let's actually look at what bragging means. Okay, so to talk boastfully, to assert boastfully, and let's look at the examples, because that's where the real kicker is. Always bragging about his success, bragged that she was the fastest runner on her team. Oh, I think that bragging thing is very much a telltale sign that I'm living something and I'm experiencing something that they kind of want and don't have. And aside from the capitalism and the luxury aspect, I mean, I work very hard for my job. I've been in this industry for 10 years. But aside from that, if you look at the examples of bragging about your success and bragging about being the fastest runner on the team, those are things that people covet, that people want, and certain people don't have. And I think a lot of this child-free discussion when it comes to, oh, you're bragging, is inferring that you want something that some child-free people do have. Number 2, I really wanted to talk about this whole thing of like, oh, silent happiness. And if you're so content being child-free and single, why do you need to feel the need to boast about it? Which completely ignores the fact that when people get engaged, they post their engagement pictures. When they're getting ready for the wedding, they post that they're looking for their wedding dress. They also post the rehearsal dinner. They post the wedding and the outfits, the reception dress. They post their beauty routine. They post the makeup. They post the bridesmaids on their bachelorette trips. They post the stag do's. So we can celebrate all of these things, not to talk of people posting their children's birthdays, their children's first days of school, their children's first steps, their children's first words, children's first holiday. They can post all of these nuggets and moments of happiness, but when single people and child-free people do it, it's kind of like, be quiet. And it's so interesting because it means that certain types of life choices are to be celebrated and certain types of life choices aren't to be celebrated, and they're not to be talked about, they're not to be posted about, because if you're so happy about it, you should be quiet. It's giving hush hush, and it's, if I'm honest, it's giving a little bit of resentment, but I'll leave that for y'all to discuss.
Please tell me what your life is like.
I often get in shit on TikTok for saying, like, this is how a child-free person does XYZ, or this is the day in the life of a child-free person. People are like, why do you need to put in there that you're child-free? What difference does it make? And the reason I do that is because I want women like the person who I'm stitching to see what a life without children can look like. I'm 39 and I'm child-free. And my experience of being child-free was that when my partner decided that he wanted to have children, we'd been together for 5 years and he actually left our relationship. So I had to decide very, very sure that I was willing to let my partner go in exchange for living a child-free life. I really loved my partner a lot. And a lot of people were telling me that it was crazy to let him go and not just have a baby with him. I knew in my heart and in my gut that I didn't want to be a parent, but after we separated, it was really hard for me to visualize what my life would look like. I could see what my life would look like if he and I had stayed together. I would be with him and we'd have like a house and a baby and a family and like great in-laws and a white picket fence, the whole thing. But because we are never shown examples in media or pop culture about what it looks like to be a woman who doesn't have children, I had no idea what my life would look like if I didn't go down the path that everyone expected me to go down. It felt really lonely and strange. And I had to go seek out other women who had also made that choice. So that's why I always say in my videos, this is what the day in the life of a child-free artist looks like, because I want women who don't want to have kids to have an example of what your life can look like.
If you don't have kids once you hit 42, you're gonna be lonely as fuck. If I were you, I'd take a seat for this one, because I'm about to say some shit you're really not gonna like. I'm going to take a wild guess that you're one of those people that had kids and then completely forgot that the outside world existed. You know, like friends, family, other people. I bet your friends rang you up and asked you to do things and you said things like, oh no, I'm sorry, I can't, I have the kids. And then you never offered an alternative and never rang them back. I bet you also said the phrase, you lose people when you have kids. Fact is, you could have done things with those people. You could have seen them with your kids. You could have invited them to your kid's birthday party, but you didn't because you thought they wouldn't enjoy it. Fact is, kids grow and they get older and they go to university, they go to college, they get married and have kids of their own. And then if you've cut the entire world off, what are you going to do then? I'm getting to that age now where a lot of my friends do have kids, and I have lost a couple of them because they cut me off thinking that I wouldn't want to be their friend anymore, and God knows I tried. But to the rest of them, they're great people that just have tiny little versions of themselves now, and I like them. Why wouldn't I like the tiny version? The other day I rang my best friend and I said, mate, I'm super hungover and I need some food that I haven't cooked. Do you want to go for dinner? And she said, yes, I'll meet you there. She came with her 6-month-old. At no point was this a discussion. At no point did she say to me, do you mind if I bring him? At no point did I say, are you bringing your son? Because she has a son and not instant access to childcare, I knew he would come. It's an unwritten rule. And that's fine. I've been with my friends and their kids to soft play, and trust me, I had a better time than their kids did. One of my friends' kids had a birthday party and there was a freaking bouncy castle in the garden. Why would I not enjoy that? You also seem to be forgetting about aunties, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, and all the rest of it. One of my aunties is in her 40s, she's child-free and she's happily married. Now me and my cousins like her more than we like our own mothers because she's always been there for us growing up. Do you think she's lonely? Because I don't. My eldest niece has got me on speed dial. If she's ever in trouble, she rings me. If she needs picking up, she rings me. If she grows and decides to get married and have kids, she'll be ringing me to complain about her husband. I know life sometimes has other plans, but I do actually have a husband that I'm very happily in love with and I'm very happily married to, and I intend to live a long and happy life with him. As my best friend's baby grows, who do you think's going to take him to Alton Towers for the first time? Who do you think's going to take him horse riding? Who do you think he's going to talk to about his first girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever he decides to do? I'm not going to have time to be lonely, but maybe you should have a deep think about whether or not you are.
So let's actually ask child-free by choice women, do they truly regret their decision?
I'll jump on this bandwagon. I'm 37, not 40, so close enough. The massive responsibility of having a child has weighed on me so much, and I take it so seriously, that I understand the number one reason that I have not had children is because I have never been with a man that I felt safe enough to have children with. I grew up in the Bible Belt. I grew up around heavily indoctrinated, patriarchal, misogynistic, Republican-minded people. I'm one of the few people that left my hometown as a child and then have been out here in the world on my own, trying to protect myself from all these predatory men. And none of them have ever humbled themselves and asked me to marry them. But 2 different men tried to put a baby in me. The first one did and denied it was his. The second one did. And long story short, I found out he was so violent that his own mother looked at me in the face and told me to run for my life. So yes, I was young and naive. I was expecting to be loved by these people and not treated like just a piece of garbage. But lo and behold, this is the patriarchal, misogynistic life that we live in. Do I regret not being tied to these abusive men or letting them have access to abuse my child? Abso-fucking-lutely not. People act like women who are closer to 40 that don't have children don't care. I've been helping raise everybody else's kids. I have been doing children's rights activism work because I realize how little rights that kids actually have and how many children are abused systemically in this country. Did I want my child going into the system? Absolutely not. Could I have raised those children on my own? Absolutely not. So I chose the hardest choices that I've had to make in my entire life. While receiving no support, I became much more isolated of a person because of it. But I respect the shit out of myself for having to make those hard decisions. I suffered, not them. And after 30, when my mind fully developed and I began to realize what I had been through in my 20s with these people, I decided that my freedom and my peace of mind for not having children with men who would abuse me and those kids for the rest of my life, I thank myself every day for remaining child-free by choice. Period.
So as some of you might know, I'm child-free by choice. My husband and I made that decision years ago, and honestly, with each passing year, we become more and more secure in our choice. It's a vibe, honestly. But when you're child-free, you have to think really proactively about how you're going to be involved in kids' lives and what role you're going to play, if any. So I do think about that a lot, and I also think about childhood kind of as a concept. And something I feel like doesn't get addressed enough is people who hated childhood not because of anything bad that happened to them, but because they absolutely hated being a child. Like by pretty much every metric, I had a great childhood, I had a great family, really no complaints, but I fucking hated being a kid. Like I have vivid memories of just this constant feeling of frustration that I didn't get to make all my own choices, that I had to listen to adults, even though I knew that a lot of the adults around me were stupid as hell. And I just had such a strong feeling of like, I cannot wait to get out of here being in the body of an 8-year-old. So part of the role that I really want to play in the lives of the kids that I have around me is this role of someone who really increases that sense of agency and autonomy and frankly being taken seriously. And in some ways, I think that's honestly the defining characteristic of the prototypical like cool auntie is that she takes you seriously and she allows you to be yourself. And she doesn't talk down to you just because you're a kid. And that's especially resonant for little kids who, like me, absolutely fucking hated being a kid. Be the auntie you wish to see in the world, I say.
What is something that you will get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud?
If you have to become a biological parent, meaning your DNA in a new human, to understand and experience unconditional love, i.e., you have not experienced unconditional love for family members, friends, nieces, nephews, puppies, dogs, pets, any of those things. If you have to become a biological parent to experience unconditional love, that's not unconditional love. That's narcissism. You needed to see your DNA in another being and see yourself in order to love them. I would argue that parental unconditional love, biological unconditional love is the least compelling unconditional love. Stop telling people that if they've never been a parent, they don't understand unconditional love, because you don't either.
Why go through with the sterilization at this point in your life? You know, are you just like, there's no possible way this could ever change?
Like my friends or honestly just people in society ask me and they will say, really, like, you don't think that you'll change your mind? My response is usually, would you ask a parent that? So would you ask a parent, well, what if you change your mind about wanting kids and now you have 3 of them? You can't go back either. Like, kids are just as permanent. And in regards to that, I would, in an alternate universe, if I was to change my mind, in my mind right now, there's no possibility of that, but I would rather regret not having children than regret having them. I feel completely fulfilled again in my life now. And I really cannot see that changing. I can get my, I guess, fix for children through my nieces and nephews, but no, I don't have any desire and I will never have a desire to be a full-time parent.
At what stage does having children become worth it? Because I was with some friends the other day and they're all talking about their kids, how they love their kids. I'm the only one who doesn't have kids. I need to have kids. Then later on in the day, we were talking about what our dream day off would look like. And every single one of them do. They all go, grandparents take the kids for the day, and then I get to sleep in as late as I want. And then I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee and drink it in total peace, no interruptions. And then, I don't know, maybe go for brunch. And then I'm going to spend the afternoon at the beach, just laying out on the beach, no responsibility, no worries, just me and the sounds of the waves. And then I'll come home and just have a cozy night in, maybe order a pizza, watch a movie. And I was like, you guys are literally describing my life. Like, oh yeah, no, but kids. Like, no, like I literally do that exact day 3 or 4 times a week. Like, yeah, but we love our kids. You need to have kids still. Like, I'm living all of your guys' dream days. Why would I change that?
Can you believe that child-free people only have 5% more net wealth than their parent counterpart friends?
Given that child-free folks are saving literally hundreds of thousands on raising a child, why do you think that is?
You two care about how much money you have when you die to pass on to the next generation.
No.
Cool. Then that changes your entire financial plan.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
So if your goal is not to pass on money, if you're going to die with zero, the book I recommend called Die with Zero, then net worth is not a goal.